Welcome to The Dish with Chase and Ben. I am Chase.
And I am Ben.
This is our 5th episode.
5, cinco, funf.
And we will be talking about the movie Stranger Than Fiction, branching off, talking about a few things that we did the previous week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were we up to last week, Chadwick?
What were we up to? We went to the Motor City Tattoo Expo.
I need you to talk a little bit louder.
All right. I will. We went to the Motor City Tattoo Expo.
Heck yeah.
It's boring.
It can be
it's
after years of going.
Yeah.
I think it's really fun. Like, I remember the first time I went to the Tattoo Expo and I lost my mind. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I still have a hoodie that I bought when I went there the first time. It was just so outside of anything that I'd ever seen. I'd never really been to any conventions. I just thought this is so cool. Look at all these cool people. I saw people that were on TV. I saw people that I thought were super famous. And I was just like, this is why it just blew my mind. And now I'm like, okay, let's go spend $85 to say hi to Dan Campbell and then leave.
Yeah.
I got to see some people that I haven't seen in years, though, which was really cool.
I think it would be cooler if they changed it over the years. There's nothing that's ever changed
It's
about
literally
it.
always the same.
It's the exact same. It's at the same place every time, too.
Same place. The booths are in the same air. People just rent out the same booths. Apparently, the entertainment was the same every single day and night. So, that's what people were saying. It was just it was like being stuck in a hole for 3 days and not seeing light or hearing anything new. It was wild.
That's really weird. Yeah, unless you're getting tattooed, I don't think that's super. It's not super exciting anymore.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I would not want to be tattooed at a convention at all.
No. Yeah, I wouldn't. No.
I'm already uncomfortable just sitting in a really nice shop, and then if I'm sitting in the middle of a banquet hall with strangers looking at me, I would like it even less.
Yeah, so we did that.
I mean,
I got some books. I got cool
You
books.
did. You got really cool art books, which was nice.
Yeah.
You got art books from a tattoo convention that had nothing to do with tattoos, which I thought was really, really cool.
That was cool. Yeah, it's a nice book.
Yeah. There was a book there that I wanted to get. It's called The Good Book. It's The Good Book and The Good Book Volume 2. They're by Dan Smith and somebody else. I don't know who the other person is. And they're $100 each. And the book is, I'm not even kidding you, this big.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm super good on that.
Well, that'd be cool later to collect something like that.
I would love to have them, but I think that's going to be something that someone's going to have to gift me because I really don't see myself buying that. So
yeah, that makes sense.
All you fans out there.
Okay.
Oh, Lordy.
Anyways, and then we went to Astronomicon.
Far and wide, way more fun.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, just like what we talked about last time, nerdy stuff is tops, of course.
So funny enough, getting to Astronomicon almost didn't happen for us this year. We were hanging out that
There's a miscommunication.
Sunday. I was editing the podcast. As you guys probably have seen already watching episode 4, we didn't have that top-down footage for the Scrabble game because I actually don't know what I'm doing with editing or recording or anything. So I was like, oh yeah, this will work just fine. And then the speed or the rate at which my iPhone recorded is different than the rate that my camera records at. So I would get everything lined up and then I'd be going, and then I would go to edit something and the videos would be off from each other, no matter how many times I tried to fix it. So I scrapped the video. It didn't work out. So I was in the middle of editing the podcast, of course, 12 hours before we were posting it. And then I'm waiting for some footage to get uploaded to my computer so I could edit some stuff. I was like, oh, I should just check the Astronomicon Instagram and see how everything is going. And I look on there. We originally were okay, we'll get there at 5 because Chase said it started at 5. I was like, 5 o'clock on the last day of a convention. That seems like it's a little late. But okay, no big deal. We'll go. It says 5. You got the tickets. Cool, let's do it. So it said on the tickets 5 o'clock. And I was like, all right, tight. So I'm looking at the Instagram and I saw somebody's story and they're like, yeah, going to be at Astronomicon open to close 11 to 5. I was like, oh, cool. So I said, hey, Chadwick, I think we need to head to Astronomicon. And this was at 2:45 in the afternoon.
Yeah, 2:45, 3. Yeah.
So then we hopped in the car real quick. Haul acid over there. And we spent an hour and a half, 2 hours there, and we weren't even rushed.
No.
Like, we didn't have to
Yeah.
leave right away.
And they had a ton of stuff, and no one was closing down.
Yeah.
It was totally good.
We didn't get to see, like, a lot of people there, like the famous people. We did see John Lovitz. Lovitz. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan.
John
I'm a
Lovitz.
fake fan.
He's
John
great.
Lovitz.
Yeah.
We saw a homegirl that plays the nun, who looked exactly like the nun.
True. We also saw Doug Bradley.
Who is that?
Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Thank you.
You're a fake ass fan, dude.
I've seen the movie once.
God.
Okay.
God.
But yeah, it was fun. We got to walk around. You bought very many pop figures.
I do collect pop figures.
And you bought some more.
I got Christopher Moltisanti.
Which is sick. What's the Paulie's the last one you need to collect?
Pule. Yeah.
Did you get Carmela yet or no?
No. I just
don't
wanted the
care about
guys,
her.
but I do. No, I should have her, honestly.
Just guys being dudes,
I
eh?
should. Guys being dudes.
Yeah, dude. You gotta get
Dudes.
Carm. You gotta get the queen.
Yeah, I will. She's cool. I should have got that one at Target that was totally torn apart.
The
to
completely
pieces.
destroyed box.
Yeah,
No,
pay
you
full
want
price
like a
for
nice
it.
one. We gotta go to Gilda Blades for that. They'll have it for us.
Gilda
Nice
Blades.
box.
Yeah.
This episode sponsored by Gilda Blades.
Boston, Michigan. Yeah, so that was that. So we went to both of those things. It was a
really
good
fun.
time.
It was a action packed.
It's definitely something worth going, even if you're not into horror movies, I would say.
Every time we go, I'm like, I don't really feel like it's a horror movie convention. I just think it's like a really cool shit convention.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is fun.
There's
like,
something
a lot
for
of cool
everyone
stuff
there.
Yeah,
For sure.
I love it.
Yeah, much better than the Tattoo Expo. I'll take that over. And also, though, in May, we're going to go to Motor City Comic Con. Which is going to be really cool, and we should probably...
I really want to
there.
dress up. I really want to dress up.
We can dress up.
I want to be a gray Jedi. I want to be my own Jedi because I really want to be Darth Maul, but I'm not trying to do all of that. So
I'm going to be Nathaniel Parrish, my alter ego.
Okay. What does that mean? You're just going to throw an ascot on?
Yeah, an ascot. That's exactly.
And then that's it. I
put a toothpick in my mouth.
See, I don't see that. I see Nathaniel Parrish as like a little more debonair. So I see you in like a velvet smoking jacket with like a purple ascot.
Yeah.
Either silk or some type of paisley.
Side note, everybody listening, you should have an alter ego name ready, just in case. Mine is Nathaniel Parrish.
Mine's Charles Wallace. I'm not even kidding you.
Yeah, you have to have one. Like, if you just had to get out of Dodge, you're just like running through it. Nathaniel Parrish sounds good. It doesn't... It rolls off the tongue.
We sound like we're mystery novel writers.
Yeah, it's nice. We're like Stephen King's. We're just like doing.
We're
stuff.
like two Stephen Kings.
Stephen King.
I think that's his name though.
Yeah,
not his alter ego.
Liam Neeson's.
I love him.
He is the best.
But yeah, so we had an action-packed week. It was a fun week. I just got off of work. So I had an action-packed week at work too. Very busy, very fun. Did you do anything fun and exciting today?
Today,
You just chilled.
I went to the
Sounds
gym and I went to the dog store. And
The dog store. Did you buy a new dog?
The dog store. Yeah. I refilled all my bird feeders because I love birds.
Perfect.
And yeah, I just had a chill day. It was good.
Nice.
It was
I
good.
love that.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, my days off, they're good.
My days off just turn into me like booking myself so much nonsense to do, and then I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday. I have to go back to work again tomorrow. Cool.
Yeah.
It gets too much.
You gotta slow down.
I try my
You're
best.
moving too fast. You got to make the morning last.
Okay. So the movie that we're discussing this
Stranger Than Fiction.
Yes, Stranger Than Fiction, which I'm going to get this out right away. I am not in any way, shape, or form a Will Ferrell fan. Yeah. I don't like him. I don't like his style of comedy. I don't find him particularly funny.
You're like personally attacking him right now. Just take it easy.
That's my opinion. I just
like,
don't really like.
I want him to die.
I don't think I said any of those
I want him
words.
burned at the stake.
I don't like his work. There's plenty of people you don't like their work.
True, I don't.
So his comedy is not really mine. I've literally never seen Anchorman,
Really?
Or any of the others.
Step Brothers or anything like that?
I've seen Step Brothers. That was okay. I like John C. Reilly a lot more than Will Ferrell.
That's fair.
Because he was in that one vampire movie that I loved.
The Vampire's Assistant or whatever? Or Apprentice. The
Vampire's Assistant. It was Vampire's Assistant.
Yeah, okay.
Vampire's Apprentice. Me as hell. That was me.
Vampire.
Would you say you or Mike are more of a vampire?
Mike, because he is a night owl.
Very true.
I am not.
We're both early risers.
True.
But yeah, it's just Will Ferrell's never tickled my fancy, but then this movie has always been the exception to the rule. I have loved this movie ever since it came out. Every single person in this movie is hilarious to me. Star-studded cast. So we got Will Ferrell. We got
Emma Thompson,
who is an incredible actress.
Dustin Hoffman,
who I literally forgot was in the movie until we started watching it. I was like, oh, Dustin, when did you get here?
Maggie Gyllenhaal,
my girl, the Queen Latifah, which is another kind of like odd, like, why are you in this movie? She's an incredible actress. I love her to death. I remember watching her in Fresh Prince, and I was like, I need to find me a girl like Queen Latifah. I loved her to death in that show.
I don't like Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Nana's freaking out right now.
I don't like Maggie Gyllenhaal.
I love Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Maggie Gyllenhaal looks like she's like 23 or 85. That's what she looks like. She has like this old woman face.
Like when she's tied up in The Dark Knight.
She's like, Harvey.
She's like, Harvey, listen, Harvey. She does like kind of.
And she's like, everything's okay. She's dead. She died. She's dead.
Spoiler alert for The Dark Knight that came out
her.
so many years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just the acting is just so incredible in that movie, and it says so. It's labeled as a comedy, which drives me insane because like it's a funny movie, but I think it's more. I definitely see it as more of a drama. I think.
I would say it's a dark comedy.
Dark comedy, yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's a dark comedy.
Yeah. So for those who haven't seen it, little premise here. Basically, it's about this man named Harold Crick, who is played by Will Ferrell. And Harold Crick is just going about his life, just having a great old time. And then he starts hearing a narrator basically just narrating his day-to-day. And he starts noticing it, and he's like, what the heck is going on? He's like freaking out. He's like talking to everybody at work. He's like, I can hear this narrator. I don't know what's happening. Excuse me. And he ends up... like finding this literature professor and starts talking to him about it. He's like, I can hear a narrator. I don't know what's going on. The literature professor is played by Dustin Hoffman. He takes them seriously immediately. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, cool. Let's figure out what's going on.
He entertains the idea.
He entertains it, and then it gets like real fast. They end up finding the narrator, who's actually an author, and she's writing a book. And Harold Crick ends up being the main character of her book. They've never met before, but she's narrating his life as it's happening, as if she is creating it. And the little fun twist about this author is all of her characters die. Everyone dies in the end of her books. So Harold finds it out, and he's like, I have to meet this author. We have to do this. Comedy ensues. Lights, shebang, done. Not to give away everything. We'll get a little bit deeper into the movie, but it's just such a good movie, such great acting. I don't really see Maggie Gyllenhaal and Will Ferrell as a believable couple.
No, me either.
It's odd, but I love their characters together. They hate each other and then they love each other.
It is nice.
It is nice.
Yeah, it's good.
I love them.
Yeah, they're good.
But yeah, it's just still like it's an odd movie that really gets you thinking, which is kind of our bread and butter. We love talking about that kind of stuff. And one of the weird points of the movie is it kind of starts off being narrated, but it's almost being narrated from the point of view of Harold Crick's wristwatch. That was really difficult to say, and I just want my flowers for saying it correctly the first time. It's narrating his wristwatch, and it's funny because like there's like it's just saying like, oh, you know, talking about how Harold, you know, he has a little bit of OCD. He counts the amount of times that he brushes his teeth, his tie, he has to like step on certain, you know, crosswalk lines and stuff, and it's all like, you know, it says like Harold's wristwatch enjoyed the breeze as he was rushing across the street to catch the 11 a.m. goddamn bus or whatever. And it was just like really interesting. And it made me start thinking, like, if you wanted to hear the opinion or the point of view from like an inanimate object of yours, what inanimate object would you want to hear the point of view from? Like in your day-to-day life?
Probably my pocket knife.
Your pocket knife?
Yeah, because it's always on me.
Something that you carry with you all the time.
Yeah. So I'd say that probably. What about you?
Honestly, as silly as it sounds, I would say my watch too in like the movie. Because like, I carry my knife with me every day, but I feel like my watch would see more. And that's what I really liked how the movie described it.
That's fair.
I feel like my knife wouldn't, it doesn't get as much action as my watch.
That's fair.
My knife would be like, yeah, I sat in his pocket all day, and then I opened a single package at work, and then I went back in his pocket, and then I was put back up on the magnet strip that all of my knives are kept on, and that's it.
Fair.
It's boring. My watch goes through everything. My watch sees all my clients.
Maybe my ring then? I don't know.
I think your ring would be really cool.
Probably my ring would be.
What do you think your ring would have to say about your day?
About my day?
Do you think your ring would be more cynical or more like funny?
I think my ring would be serious.
Your ring has a very serious person on it.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly who that man is.
Mercury.
Mercury. The car, the Mercury.
Come here, Nana. Come here.
She doesn't want to be on camera. She's not being paid enough.
Come here. Show everybody how pretty. She can't. Yeah, she's like way out of our price range.
Yeah, dude, we can't book her.
For Pete's sake.
There she goes.
There she goes.
There she go. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting, like just another point of view, like, you know, like Big Brother is watching, but little computer watch is watching.
True. You should just not have a computer watch.
I like having a computer watch. I have non-computer watches, and I like my computer watch.
True.
It does a lot for me.
It's true.
There she is. Oh, I got a notification. I achieved a goal. What does your garbage watch say about you? Nothing. My watch says, you worked out today. And I say, thank you, watch.
I did too.
So basically, while they're trying to like figure out like who's narrating like Harold Crick's life, he's trying to basically figure out if it's a comedy or a tragedy, like just to try to narrow everything down. And like, you know, they say, all right, Harold, you know, you're going to go next day. You just take a little notebook. You're going to make a little tick every time, you know, oh, you know, I might be in a comedy, make a little tick. Oh, shoot, I might be in a tragedy, make a little tick, and try to figure out if you're a comedy or tragedy, which is funny because Harold Crick is an IRS agent and he's auditing Maggie Gyllenhaal. So, of course, if that was your life, I mean, unless you have a really stellar outside of work life, you're going to be living in a tragedy. Everyone hates the IRS. I mean, I wouldn't say I hate the IRS, but in general, like...
Everyone hates being audited.
Yeah. I luckily haven't been audited, knock on wood. I don't really see a reason why I would need to be, but yeah, it's, you know, for him making his, I think he had 2 or 3 check marks in the comedy and then like 47 in tragedy.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
So I think, you know, it just comes down to it, like thinking about that. And funny enough, I tried to ask myself if I thought I was in a comedy or tragedy more. I want to pose this question to you first because I have a little bit of a ramble after that.
Okay.
Do you think you're more in a comedy or a tragedy?
That's a tricky question. I think that the way I would think about it is you can't have one or the other. You have to have one with the other.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other.
So like comedy and tragedy are so similar.
Absolutely.
Or the same sometimes.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't have... Yeah, you can't know what something comedic is unless there's tragedy to oppose that.
Very similar to Light and Dark and just kind of everything.
So that's what's tricky about that movie. I think that's what's hard is like when he's like checking these boxes to see like, okay, yeah, I have a comedy or I'm a tragedy. It's like, okay, well, a lot of this is funny, but it's like only like, but it's not funny to you, but it is funny.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it's a tricky thing. So I would say like, I think most people's lives are both.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's one or the other, in my opinion. I think it could probably be both. It just is kind of like circumstantial. It just depends. Like something could happen to me today that I would not find funny at all. but it could happen like a year from now and I could be in a different spot and it could be hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's like, it's just like, it's a tricky thing. Or how many times do you like find yourself like worrying about something? You know what I'm saying? Like just worrying about something forever, and like then something happens and you're like, why did I worry about that? And then a year goes by and you're like, that was hilarious. Why did I do that? Like, why would I do that?
Why was I
so you know what I'm saying? So exactly.
Yeah.
So like, it's like, there's that saying of, you know, I've been through many crises, most of which had never happened, you know, because it's like, you just don't, you create these, scenarios,
these worst case scenarios in your head, and you're just like, what is going to happen if all this happens? And then none of it ever happens.
Nothing ever happens like that. Yeah. So that's what I would say. What about you?
You have a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I'm a little different. I think we're all living in a tragedy. I think everything is tragic to a certain extent, but then I also think we try our best. A lot of people, I think, try their best to make their tragedy into comedy.
That's fair.
Like, something that I've been doing recently, I've just been in kind of a weird, you know, time of my life, and kind of like a salty attitude recently about a lot of stuff in my life. And it's just weird. And it was brought to my attention recently by somebody I greatly respect. And I, you know, decided, like, you know what? I really am kind of, you know, a little too much of a storm cloud sometimes, and I'm really kind of focusing on all the negative, because, like, let's be real, a lot of negative stuff happens in our lives, like everybody's lives. Even if you have a great life, there's a lot of negative. It's just, it comes with the territory. Getting really pessimistic here for a second, but I have now just started kind of challenging myself, like, okay, you know, if I have like a hard situation happening at work, or something really is frustrating me at home, you know, how can I turn this into a positive, or how can I spin this in my life, in my brain, to make this, one, more palatable, but two, just more positive for my life? Because, like, man, oh man, if I just focus on the negative all the time, I am a really gross storm cloud. And I'm not trying to do that all the time. I'm almost 30 years old. I need to, like, lighten up a little bit. I need to enjoy life a little bit more. So I've just been doing that. Like, let's say, you know, something wild happens, you know, I don't know, give an example. I don't really have an example, but just, you know, taking anything that's negative, or taking anything that I would have used to, like, really just dwelt on, like, just thought about nonstop, and just hated everything, got in a horrible mood, and be like, you know what? No. Like, I worked all day. I got off work late. I ran around to some grocery stores. I got home, or I got to your house, and, you know, instead of me sitting here and being in a poor mood and just being like, blah, 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 I'm not going to go to bed until so late right now, I get the opportunity to come. I had a great home cooked meal from my best friend. I got to hang out. We get to, you know, chat about a really great movie that we watched.
Yeah.
You know, while this is, I wouldn't even say work, because I love doing this, but, like, while this is something else that's on my plate, and something else that's going to take time, and, you know, it's 10, 11 at night, and I'm doing my best not to fall asleep, I get the chance to hang out. I get the chance to make this cool thing, play around with some technology, have a good time, and just really kind of focus on, you know, fun stuff, when I could have just gone home and been sad and crappy and just laid in my house in the dark. And, like, that's not cool. I don't want to do that anymore.
Well, you're not doing yourself any favors by doing that.
Yeah, it's exhausting, dude. The world's already trying to get me down. I might as well not try to get myself down.
That's true. That's very true.
Not about it, you know?
So you think tragedy on a whole, but trying to make it a comedy.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think the world nowadays is a tragedy, but I'm going to do my damnedest to make this as funny as I can.
That's fair.
No.
So my thing is so I'm just curious about if this was a real scenario, if you heard a narrator in your head, like, would you go to the doctor, or would you think like something was wrong with you, or would you be like, you would completely accept this reality now for you? It's your reality. So, like,
I definitely wouldn't go to the doctor. I don't like my doctor.
You wouldn't go to the doctor?
I wouldn't go to my doctor.
Like a psychiatrist, I'm saying.
Maybe.
He does. He goes to a psychiatrist.
I would call Rosemary. I'd call my girl Rosemary and be like, listen, like, everything's been going great.
Crazy.
I can hear a voice, though. To be completely honest, like, honestly, if this happened to me tomorrow, I would tell you immediately, and I would tell my pastor immediately. I'd be like, listen.
He would like try to exorcise you.
That's not really a thing in the Lutheran church.
It doesn't.
You guys got that covered.
We do have it covered. Don't worry.
You and your people.
Don't worry.
All those successful exorcisms.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I would just be like, this is really weird. And I just need two people that if they're going to judge me, they're going to do it pretty silently. So I'd go to you and I'd go to my pastor and I'd be like, hey, this weird thing is happening. I need to talk about it.
That's crazy to me.
Would you go to a psychiatrist, psychologist, psychotherapist?
I feel like what would happen is I would wait it out for a minute. Like to see if like it was like I don't know why.
I could see
honestly.
you like walking down the street and like Chase Suarez was walking down the street one day and then you just like bolt one way and you just try to like fake out the narrator and see if you could get him to stop.
Yeah, dude. No,
would you have a boy narrator or a girl narrator?
I'd probably have a man.
I'd have a woman.
Yeah, I would have a nice like James Earl Jones voice.
I wanted to do
like
a James
or
Earl
like
Jones.
a Morgan Freeman. That'd be nice.
Like
Tommy Lee Jones. I don't know. Like somebody just
may he rest in peace.
He's not dead.
Is he still with us?
Come on, dude. He's got bigger earlobes than you do.
You know, like that one TikTok I sent you where the guys were playing video games and he's like, "Hey, can you pretend to be Morgan Freeman for a second?" This guy on the video game just goes, "I can smell you." It's one of my favorite TikToks ever. I've seen it so many times and it kills me every time because it's just dead quiet. It's just, I can smell you.
Yeah. So wild. But yeah, so I think I would see my doctor. I would see Dr. Hug. And then and he would tell me I'm crazy, and then he would tell me to go to a psychiatrist.
He is a little too real for you sometimes, and he's just like, you're blowing this out of proportion. Go somewhere else.
He's good. He's a good doctor.
It's good. He's got a level head on his shoulders.
I would say yeah. I would probably see one later. I don't know. It's hard because like if it was so accurate, like if it was actually like exactly what I was doing all the time, it was always accurate of everything that I was doing. I don't know if I would think I'm crazy. I don't know what I would think.
Yeah.
If you are like having like a mental illness or disease or something, I feel like you wouldn't know that you had that because like you have it. Like it'd be like if you were schizophrenic, you're not gonna be like, oh man, I know I'm schizophrenic. Like you would think whatever like is going on in your head. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't think you're schizophrenic unless somebody diagnosed you that way. You know what I mean? So like
you would just think what's happening to you is happening to everybody
It's just
else.
your reality.
Yeah,
like that's just how it is, right? I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a mental disorder where you hear a narrator in your brain?
Not that I've heard of, but there is that fact that like not a lot of people have an inner monologue where like their thoughts are like a voice.
It's like only 20% of people.
Do you have an inner monologue?
Yeah.
Like can you think in thought?
It's my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have always had the hardest time explaining that because I definitely have an inner monologue, but it's not my voice. I can't like pinpoint it as a voice, which might mean I don't have an inner monologue, but maybe. I can like hear, like if I'm sitting here, like I just said a sentence in my brain, but it wasn't like my voice. It might just be my OCD brain being able to recognize words. I don't know.
Mine, I can like hear my voice. Like I can hear it.
I might not have an inner monologue. Today might be
like right now, I could sing a song in my head.
What song are you singing?
And I could hear it.
What song?
I'm not singing one right now. I'm saying I could if I wanted
Whatever,
to.
dude.
You can imagine what it'd be like if I did.
Apparently, I can't. I can't think of.
Where's
words.
the bell right now?
It's way over there. You didn't grab it. The weird thing is too, like it's funny because it's talking about Harold. Like he counts. You're gonna go get the bell. I'm still talking about the movie. So if you bell me, I'm shutting this podcast down. Like it talks about how Harold counts the. Oh gosh, Carlos is right underneath me.
I kicked him on accident.
Oh, cool. Okay. No more kicking your dogs, please.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, well, damage is done. It talks about how Harold, I was just about to like not let you bing it. It talks about how Harold counts his brush strokes when he brushes his teeth. Mm-hmm. I never count my brush strokes because that would just be wild.
Yeah.
But I do. I count the lines, the dashed lines in the street when I'm driving. Always.
Oh, the dashed ones?
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And in my brain, I want it to be in groups of 5, 3 darker color, 2 lighter color. So if it's like white lines, I want it to be space, line, space, line, space. And then I can use that totally space again normal. For another one.
Yeah. Everyone does that.
Believe you me, I've talked to my therapist about it. Yeah. I have a lot of things like that. You would never be my therapist. I would say things that would make your mustache curl.
I'd make you cry.
You could try. Haven't done it yet. We're what, 5 years in, still haven't made me cry? That's a lie. You probably have made me cry. Let's get off this. All right, to get a little bit more on track here. As the movie progresses, they find out who the narrator is because the narrator says, little did he know something, something, something about impending doom. And Dustin Hoffman is like, wait a second, little did he know. Like, this is a telling phrase. I know who's going to be your narrator. We got to narrow this down and stuff. They try to narrow down the narrator and they can't figure it out. And then they see Emma Thompson's character on a talk show being interviewed, and like a light bulb goes on in Harold's head, and he's like, that is the narrator. And that's when Dustin Hoffman's like, shit. Homegirl kills her characters. And I'm sorry, but you're probably going to die. Excuse me. And this is where it takes a turn for the worst. And it again, raises the question. Not even necessarily. Let's just say you're walking to the store one day, and this man comes up. He's got a trench coat. He's got a nice hat on. He's well dressed. He just comes up and says, "Chase Suarez, this is for you." Hands you a package. Keeps on walking. You're just like, what the hell is this? This is weird. You go on your walk. You get home. You unwrap it, and it is a book about your life, and it has everything from your birth onwards. So you start reading, you're like, oh my gosh, this is when my mom gave birth to me. This is my early childhood. This is my 5th birthday. This is when I went to that bat mitzvah. And it's just like all of these things, like accurately and in such great detail accounted of your entire life. Mm-hmm. How much would you read?
I would read up until right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to read in the future. I'm too much of an overthinker.
Well, I agree that. Would you you'd be sitting here and you'd be like, what am I going to eat for breakfast tomorrow? Let me just read it in my book really quick.
No.
You wouldn't do that?
I would want to still think that I had free will
to
an extent. I think I would want to... I don't think I would be curious because I would assume that over time something catastrophic is going to happen, of course.
Because we live in a tragedy.
Well, no, that's just because that's just how it is. Life is just like that. That's just like it, So
tragic.
So yeah, so I wouldn't want to know. Yeah. If anything, the only time I might flip forward is if I was in said catastrophic event at the time, because I'm going to be like, how does this get better?
Is this a few pages? Is this a multiple chapter situation?
How do I get over this? So I can maybe expedite the process a little bit. You know what I mean?
You ever seen the movie Click?
Yeah, many times.
So he just fast forwards through stuff, and then it just starts automatically fast forwarding everything that he doesn't want to be in, which is not good. It'd be like that. It'd be like, all right, let's just try to expedite this. Let's get to the part where I'm having a good time again. Do you think then your life would fast forward? Do you think you're just okay.
No, because it would just be a documentation that you would.
But do you think then that would change your story though? If you're reading ahead and you're seeing things and you try to implement it earlier, then that would change the book.
It would.
So then you can't really control it, man.
You might be able to. I don't know. I'd try. I would try.
You try your hardest.
I'd try. What about you?
That man comes up to me with that book. I'm saying, keep my name out your mouth. I'm going home and I'm burning that book. Because I would read that bitch until the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would die.
You would die. I will die.
I will die. I would have a very, very hard time with that. I would read that entire thing. I would not go to work. I would read the whole thing. I would it would be so hard for me not to read it. So I would just get rid of it. I would absolutely burn it. It would be fair. So, oh gosh. The more I think about it, the more itchy I get.
Honestly, though, it's the other thing to consider is like in the movie, obviously, he's aware at a certain point that he's going to die.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a factor here.
I mean, so are we.
So, yeah, but if you knew the time and, like, how it was going to happen and everything, I think that would also... Like, he becomes a different person because of that information. He learns how to play the guitar. He, like, does all these things that he, like, wants to do, and he starts to change who he is as a person. Yeah. His job isn't as important to him at all. You know, like, things are not as important that are superficial.
Yeah, he takes time off,
right. Yeah, so, like, that's something to consider, too. And I think, too, like, I think that is relatable because, like, I think he, like, had... Well, I think he had, like, a certain level of comfort with his life. Yeah. Counting things is a comfort thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, keeping track is a comfort thing. Yeah. All these things, like, I feel like he's, like... built this like comfortable life that he thought would be like a successful good life. Yeah. But he's alone and he's sad and like his life sucks. So I think like when he gets the information that he's going to pass away quicker than he thought, let's say, then those things kind of fall to the wayside because you're like a human being now. You're just you because you know like what's going to happen, you know? So I think that's something that is like interesting with that movie is like I would think to myself, okay, like then you have to wonder like, okay, like what are you comfortable with right now? Like what's going on in your life where like you could do something else that you want to do, but you're like not doing that because you're comfortable with how you are now.
Yeah. And like, why are you stopping from doing that?
Right. And what would make you not? Yeah. Like, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for, like, that? Are you waiting for, like, someone to tell you, like, hey, like, you know what, dude? You could die next week or, like, you're going to die next week. That's, like, a lot, right? So it shouldn't take that much. Like, that seems like a severe thing. You know? So you should, you know, so it's like, what is it then? You know? Even something small, you know, that you could just do that you want to do. You know, I think that I have plenty of things that, like, I'm comfortable with, you know? And they're not necessarily like part of my personality anymore. Yeah. It's just like how it's been. Right? Yeah. So I think like everyone is guilty of that to an extent.
Well, I mean, I think I have a pretty good like real life kind of example of that. Back in November I got really sick and I didn't have a voice for 6 weeks and like nothing I was doing was helping and like it was just so crazy. And I finally did go to a doctor and he ended up telling me, you know, oh, I think it could be this, I think it could be that, I think it could be that. And when you are a certain size, anytime you go to a doctor, the first thing they will tell you is you got to lose weight and then all your problems will be solved. And I'm not saying that to be like flippant about it. Any medical professional I've ever seen has mentioned my weight and mentioned my size and mentioned anything about it, which gets kind of upsetting after a little bit. So finally, this doctor didn't start with it right out of the gate. He actually figured out what was wrong with my voice and got me on the right track. And then I had to slide it in right at the end. Oh, you know, probably if you were a little bit lighter, you know, this wouldn't be an issue, which is completely not true and wasn't related at all to why I didn't have my voice. But I was so sick of hearing that for so long. I was like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. I'm so over this. I want to like stop hearing this and I want to have a better life for myself. So at that moment, I started counting my calories. I got a fun little calorie counting app. And I was like,
You do love your tech. Yeah.
It's just an app. It makes it better. Honestly, I wouldn't mind. I want to start bullet journaling really badly, but that's neither here nor there. I just really like, I got this app. I was like, I'm just going to start counting my calories. And then it just kind of became not addicting, but it felt so good being in a calorie deficit and just like achieving this for myself. And I was so excited. And I was like, wow, this is really turning my life around. Like having these people time and time and time again telling me you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, you fat ass. And I was just getting over it, and I was just like, you know what, fine. Let's like really be serious about this. I've been counting my calories. I think yesterday was 108 days in a row that I've done it, which is also very me to have something that gives me like achievements for doing stuff in a row.
Of course, yeah.
I have successfully lost over 30 pounds since November, which is wild. And it's just like given me so like a more optimistic, again, you know, optimism and trying not to focus on all the garbage that's always happening. But it's really kind of put me in a better mindscape to just be like, you know, this summer, like I really want to play basketball. I want to play tennis. We used to play tennis all the time. I want to play tennis again. I'm about to buy a bicycle again because that was a part of my life for a second, and now I really want to ride bikes again. I want to ride rollerblades, which is a side argument.
Get a Razor scooter instead.
Just I broke my arm on a Razor scooter.
Yeah, maybe you need to get back on the saddle.
I can pretty confidently say I have not ridden a Razor scooter since I broke my arm on it. First day of summer.
That's how you get PTSD with things, is you stop doing it.
Yeah.
Right now you can't because you're all messed up in the head from it.
Messed up in the head.
You get panic attacks when you stand on a Razor scooter. You're like, eh.
No, I get panic attacks for a lot of other reasons, not for a Razor scooter.
Fair.
But yeah, I just, you know, I didn't read how I died in a book, but I had an annoying interaction with somebody who thought he knew something about me.
But you're also changing something you're comfortable with.
Exactly. Yeah. I was comfortable housing 4,000 calories a day. And now just absolutely obliterating Ben & Jerry's pints of ice cream, which in the past 108 days, I think I've had 2 pints of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Has so many calories. I'm just like, I would much rather eat so much more stuff than a pint of ice cream.
For sure.
So yeah, I have way cooler stuff. But yeah, it's just like being faced with something like, listen, I can either just keep being bummed about this, I can keep being like, woe is me, or I can just be like, you know what? Enough. I'm the captain of my ship. There's so many phrases that go along that, but like, I'm just going to make this better for myself because I want what's best for me. Something that you said to me earlier on in my career, I have too much time on my hands, literally, to be not in the best shape of my life, taking the best care of my life taking the best care of myself that I ever had in my life. I am so ridiculously blessed with the situation I found myself in. How am I not making the best out of this? How am I not using this to my advantage and just being everything I've always wanted to be?
Right.
Like it's not even selfish. It's so self-deprecating for me not to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know, you're living your life. You just have to live through your life. You're just experiencing life. Everybody is just here. So I don't think it's like, you know, you learn things over time.
Yeah.
You know, you learn stuff over time, and you learn to chill out over time too. You know,
that is
like
true.
Certain things just are not as surprising anymore. You know, so it's a good thing. You said that that was a good thing to say. That just brings me back to that, which is relevant to this, is the quote of the
quote
episode,
of the day,
quote of the episode, which is by Mr. Joseph Campbell, and it says, "We must be willing to let go of the life we planned, so as to have the life that is waiting for us." It's true.
I planned
it's
so many
hard.
things to go differently.
Growth is painful. Always, no matter what kind of growth it is. You know, you want big muscles, and you got to tear those muscles. They got to heal, and you got to tear them again. You know, like, and it hurts. You know, it so like it's anything hurts. Growth hurts. So usually, if you're doing something that you want to do and it hurts, you're probably doing the right thing. You're probably on the right path.
Yeah.
And if you're not on the right path, hit it hard anyways. See if you can actually do it. And if not, then at least you're somewhere that you weren't before.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Give 110%.
So yeah, just try. You know, just try your hardest. That's
no, do or do not. There is no try.
Oh.
Shout out to my man Yoda.
Yonta. I think his name's Grogu.
Don't start with me. That is Baby Yoda. Still on the topic of this movie, but I can't get it out of my head because I think it's the most romantic thing in the entire world. Maggie Gyllenhaal works at a bakery.
I know what you're going to talk about for sure.
Will Ferrell is trying to win her affection. So he brings her flowers, meaning he brings her a box of like 12 bags of like buckwheat flour, whole wheat flour, rice flour, all-purpose flour, bread flour. And I remember seeing that scene when I was a child, whenever this movie came out, and I was like, I'm going to do that for somebody someday. I have yet to do that for somebody, but not like give them flour, but like do something like grandiose and like, here's this awesome thing. How's that? So I have a question for you since I've never done it because I've never loved someone. Have you ever done a grandiose gesture to someone to win their affection? Big old thing.
Grandiose.
Like buying a bunch of flour.
Well, I've bought flowers for people before.
Okay, that's not grandiose. Like it's grandiose because it's flour, not flowers.
No, I understand. I've taken people to like things where they'll have like personal experiences with wild animals that they're into. You know, I've done that.
I want to do that.
Like you could hang out with wolves, or you could, pet and hold the sloths and things like that. I've done stuff like that.
Yeah.
I used to travel a lot, so I would like do stuff like vacations and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like I don't have like I'm a pretty simpleton.
Not a simpleton.
I'm a good gift giver though. I am a good gift giver.
As we know in the past, you're an incredible gift giver.
So
and that's the thing. I mean, I think between friends, I mean, you took the time to listen to me and listen to my life, and you gave me a part of my childhood back that I had lost years ago, and stuff like that. It's like, I think that's pretty grandiose.
Yeah, stuff like that. That when I bought my mom her, that's a grandiose.
Stuff like that.
Something like that.
I just thought of something that's pretty freaking grandiose.
What?
So when I was living in Minnesota for a time, and when I was living, I checked the camera to see Carlos is laying right over there, right next to his bed, which makes no sense. But
what a weird position, dude.
He's like facing away from us as best he can. I was living in Minnesota for a time, and when I was living in Minnesota, I was a manager at a Super Target, Shoreview Super Target. Shouts out. And obviously, when you work at Target and you're a part of the management team, there's no way in hell you're not working on Black Friday. And this was the first Black Friday I'd ever worked in retail before. I'd worked in food service before that. Nana's freaking out now too. So I was working retail is going to be my first Black Friday. And I was in Minnesota. My little sister was living in Chicago. She was going to school. And then my older sister was living in the Detroit area. I think she might have been living at home at the time. I think she might have been going to school maybe, or just finished school. So we were all together, or we were all apart, and it was Thanksgiving, and we wanted to we all wanted to get together. And Thanksgiving is the first Thanksgiving we were like all separate. It was really sad. All the dogs are freaking out right now. We were all going to be separate. So I was like, you know what? Minnesota, I hope you can hear this on the microphones because she is just roaring like a lion right now. I've lost my train of thought. We all wanted to get together for Thanksgiving. It was going to be the first Thanksgiving that we're all apart, and we were like, screw this. So, on a good day, St. Paul, Minnesota to Detroit, Michigan is about 10 to 12 hour drive. I was like, screw it. I have the weekend off before Thanksgiving. I should just drive to Chicago, pick up my little sister, and drive to my parents' house and surprise them. So I called my older sister. I was like, hey, do you think this can work? And she was like, oh, definitely. Let's do it. So I called my sister. I'm like, hey, I know you're going home. I was going to be gone for Thanksgiving. I forgot. Jane was going to be going home for Thanksgiving. But I was like, I can't go. I want us all to be together. Do you think you can go with me to Michigan like for this weekend, the weekend before Thanksgiving. She's like, yeah, I just have to be back on Monday for classes. I'm like, that's fine. I work on Monday. So I had a closing shift on Friday night. So it was 3:30 to 11. 11 o'clock hits. And I'm like, all right, quick 8-hour drive. I'm going to drive to Chicago, pick up my little sister. We're going to go to Detroit. We're going to surprise my parents.
Quick 8-hour drive.
Quick 8-hour drive. Turned into about a 10 or 11-hour drive, just that leg, because I got stuck in one of the worst snowstorms I've ever driven through. I was falling asleep at the wheel, which I'd never done before, which is terrifying. It was probably 15, 20 degrees outside, snowing.
Yeah.
I had all the windows rolled down and my music blasting, so I would stay awake.
Yeah.
I was like screaming prayers. I was just like doing anything I could to stay awake.
Uh-huh.
I left at around 11. I got to my sister's house. It was probably like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I got to her dorm. I called her. I was like, hey, I need to like go to your dorm room. I need to take like a half an hour nap because like I'm losing it and I'm having a really bad time. Really bad time. So I go up to her dorm room. I don't even think I took my shoes off. I just laid in her dorm bed. I closed my eyes for maybe 15 minutes and I was like, all right, fuck it. I just want to go home. Like, let's go. So we get in my car. We start driving. I start falling asleep at the wheel again. I was like, I can't do this, Jane. I'm so sorry. You need to drive. Yeah. So we pull over. We switch. Now that my baby infant sister's driving, I'm like, I have to stay awake now because I got to make sure she's okay. So we drive the rest of the way home. We end up, letting Megan know, like our ETA, my older sister Megan. We like figure it out where, we pull up. We, park a couple houses down. My sister gets my parents to like sit in the living room and like face the dining room so they're not like seeing outside. So we like sneak in, we open the door really quiet, and then my sister's like, okay, I have a surprise for you guys. Like close your eyes, hold out your hands. You can attest that like anytime we have gifts for each other, close your eyes, open your hands. Yeah. So they did that. They closed their eyes, opened their hands, and then I grabbed my mom's hands, and then my little sister grabs my dad's hands. They open their eyes, and my mom immediately bawling, like weeping, and I was like, success. So then we spent a couple hours. We spent the whole of Saturday together. I don't even think I like visited any friends. I might have gone over to my buddy's house for a second, but we just like spent time with family. We went to church the next morning, and then I drove back.
Yeah.
Drove Jane to college, drove the rest of the way. Going back was way easier. Oh, hide those ears.
Hide them.
That was back in the day when I used to watch movies while driving, which was a
super safe.
Great way to stay up. It was awesome. Hi, Macaron T. Hi, Tootsie Boy. Can you see him? Probably not. A little bit.
A little bit. You can see his little back right here.
Yeah.
This is a puppy dog boy.
Put your arms up here. Oh, rub your cheeks.
He's the mascot.
He is. Good tainto boy. But yeah, it was just such a good time. I would say that's the most grandiose gesture I've ever made to somebody I love about how much I love them is driving 24 hours round trip in a span of 48 hours to visit my family. God, you're just surrounded by doggies right now, right?
They're my babies.
They're like, we want to go OUT, daddies.
No, they're protecting me from you.
Whatever, dude. Nana loves me more than you.
That's not true. That's not true by any means. Nana loves me so much.
She almost gave me a kiss last time I was here.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, like I said, I would like to just retouch base for people that are listening. Just think about this though. Like, what would it take for you to truly, get out of your shell, to get out of your own way, to do something crazy to you, to do something that like is just something you've always wanted to do that is off base. That you
always figured out different obstacles.
Yeah, what's it going to take, What are you waiting for?
I was just waiting for a rude doctor to tell me I was fat. And I'm skinny as can be. It's crazy. I turn sideways, you can't even see me. Woo!
You fall right through the floor cracks sometimes.
The floor cracks. It's great. God's blessings. Yeah. Chadwick, what should we talk about next week, huh?
I don't know. I have some movies lined up, possibly. Maybe we can talk about a show that just started that we might watch. So,
you know what we should do?
We could do that kind of thing. It depends. I have a huge list here.
Oh, my goodness.
For Christ's sake.
Well, folks at home, if you want to add to this huge list, you should message us on Instagram. You should let us know if there's a specific movie that you love or you hate, and you think we would have a great conversation,
and we'll tear it apart.
We will tear it apart. We both have our favorite movies, and I think we're saving those favorite movies for like birthday specials.
Yeah, of course.
So it's going to be a couple months, but I have my favorite movie I want to talk about.
If anybody has a idea for the next movie for a genre, at least, that would be cool too. Just because we're trying to break it up and not do the same stuff over and over, obviously, either.
We love every genre of movie.
Yes.
Like
Make
anything.
Make sure you interact with us. Make sure you subscribe to everything.
Make sure
dude.
you
see our
YouTube,
Instagram.
Apple Podcasts, and Spotify if you want to listen. Obviously, Spotify and YouTube if you want to watch it. Mm-hmm. Somebody brought up a great idea that they really wanted to hear our thoughts about. What's that show called? The Last of Us. Mm-hmm. I actually got a couple people in my life into The Last of Us. So maybe if there's demand for it, we can release a little Last of Us special. Maybe not as much editing and just a quick little our thoughts and recaps. Neither of us are PlayStation owners, so we haven't played the games, and we just watched the show for what it was. And we have some opinions, and I think maybe we can record a little something about that and get our thoughts out there,
That'd be cool too. Yeah.
A little recap. Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll see if there's demand for it,
Yeah.
So if you want to see that, let us know. Instagram DMs are always open.
Yeah. Okay.
Any final thoughts, opinions, Bible verses that you have for the children?
No. We said that quote of the day. Everything's good to go. It was a nice quote.
Check the quote in the description below.
Yep. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we will be back for episode 6.
6. The sixth element.
That's wild.
We did 6. We did 5.
We could watch The Sixth Sense. Ha ha! And then, okay. And then we can watch 7 for our 7th episode.
And then we can watch Ocean's 8.
We could just should we just do this? We just do numbers.
All right, folks, get ready for this string of
Or we
movies.
could watch 8 Mile, Melise.
We could have our first guest on the podcast, Melise Hill, world-renowned tattooer.
About 8 Mile, the movie only.
Gosh, I don't want to watch that movie.
Melise did do a good Eminem tattoo, though, for sure.
You know what? Maybe I'll watch. Maybe I'll watch 8 Mile. Honestly, if we watch 8 Mile, how are we supposed to watch 8 Mile?
Melise, if you're hearing this, get in touch with my agent. Have your agents talk to mine.
Give a call to Nathaniel Parrish, and we'll see if we can pencil something in your busy
Parrish
schedule.
Incorporated.
What's her tattoo shop called? Yellow Fog, right?
Mustard gas, I think.
Oh my gosh, it's mustard gas. That's so funny.
Thank you.
You're hilarious.
I'm sleepy, so I'm funny.
Let's go to bed now.
Yeah.
I need to drive home and import all this footage onto my external hard drive. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon. We're going to have a slew of number movies coming up, so get ready, y'all.
Get ready.
All right.